Hey guys, so today you and I are going to talk about struggling with DevOps. So let's get into it. So the question in question was, hi Frederick, do you have any advice for a programmer who's really struggling with DevOps? I'm fluent with front-end, back-end, and databases, and I enjoy the problem-solving aspect of coding, but I find it it's tiresome to endlessly tweak YAML files, HCL files, and it's just frustrating. Well, you found something that is, dare I say it, not fun about your job. Perish the thought. Uh, I suppose that the nicest thing I can tell you, my friend, is that quite a lot of people don't really like all the aspects of their job, and you're lucky in a sense to work in a profession where a lot of people who do software development and enjoy it, they usually have a really fun time at work, because if you're just able to do the coding or things like that, then you're all good. As you were explaining, you find the front and back end and databases to be interesting, which is, well, depending on what level you are, that's more than 50% of what you do. And that's great. But as you mentioned, now you have to take responsibility for something that you don't like. There are a few strategies to how to deal with this. The common one, which I don't condone whatsoever, is to basically say that it's not your fucking job. And that works as long as you're a bitter old senior in your 50s and nobody really knows if it is your job or not. And then they have to hire somebody else to help you fix that thing. And then you start working with someone like me who realizes that you're outdated and have a negative mindset of what basically is common practice today in a DevOps environment, and then I do my absolute darndest to show how incompetent you are, and that usually doesn't end so well for one of us. But if I'm going to give you something that you can do if you're actually in a situation where you have to somehow deal with this, is that I can't really say and it's all going to be fine and you're going to start loving this thing. I'm not going to try to make you that sell. What I'm going to try to sell to you is a different perspective on the thing that you are experiencing. So if you don't like something, such as in this case DevOps, there's very little you can do to just change that emotion. Like you are feeling, and what I argue to you is that you feel unfulfilled or frustrated with something you find tedious, and nothing I say will be able to just magically make you love that thing. That would be great, but sorry, I'm not able to do that. What I can tell you is that the negative emotion that you have is just an emotion. You don't like this thing, but you have to do it. So what I urge you to do is to focus less on the fact that you don't like this thing and simply put the goal of knowing how to execute a task in front of yourself and master that. This is the thing that has helped me quite a lot when it comes to things I don't really like, because I know for a fact that I have to do this thing that I don't really like. And I can't really start liking it, but I can reduce the pain. And the way I can reduce the pain is by streamlining how I execute that task. In other words, the less time I have to spend looking things up, the less time I have to spend being angry and frustrated because I don't really understand what's going on, or the less time I can spend just being in the state of frustration, the better for me. In other words, what I'm basically telling you is that I suggest that you learn how to efficiently execute the task that you have to execute within your DevOps environment. Because the thing is, you don't actually have to know everything about DevOps if you don't want to, which is, as I said, that's the difference between the strategy that I don't condone and what I'm suggesting to you. The strategy I don't condone means that you're trying to ignore the fact that you have certain responsibilities within the software team that you need to know how to do in order to execute on your end goal. What I'm suggesting is only learn the things that are strictly necessary for you to deliver on company goals or team goals or whatever goals you have. And that is a smaller problem than learning all of DevOps. You still have to do something, but it's not as big as it could potentially have to be if you had to learn all the things, right? And once you have identified the common tasks like deployments or checking if the configuration is correct, etc., etc., then it is in your best interest, in essence, to grudgingly, resentfully, and maybe more than a little annoyed when you're doing it, try to just master those things as quickly as possible. Just learn how to efficiently execute those tasks. Because what will happen in that scenario is that you will spend the absolute minimum amount of time being frustrated and angry and still meet your goals. And this is basically how I sort of look at things. It's very rare that I find, and I've said this before as well, guys, everything is easy if you know how it works. And frustration, like being bored by something, I get bored all the time, guys. Like one of the things that I truly, which is, if you've worked with me, might seem really weird. I truly despise having to write tedious documentation or like explain things into, break things down into microorganisms just to get anything done. As I like to say, it's like herding cats. You're basically just going through tons and tons and tons of hoops in order to get people to move in a certain direction. But the thing is that I've also taken the time to learn how to do it so that I spend the least amount of time being frustrated. I don't have to go the extra mile, I don't have to do anything extra, so forth. I'm just trying to be effective at the thing I have to do in order to reach my goal. And that's basically what I suggest to you that you do here. Try to understand that the frustration is probably there to stay because you can't magically like something you don't like, but you can be competent in the thing. And by being competent, you reduce both the amount of anger you feel due to not really understanding what you're doing and having to try things over and over and looking things up, and you reduce the time it takes you to execute on those tasks. So what I want you to take away from this is that my tip to you, it doesn't matter if it's DevOps, whatever it is, guys, if you're dealing with a situation where you don't really feel fulfilled by it or you don't really like it, my suggestion to you is to figure out what is the bare minimum you have to master in order to make do. You don't have to learn everything, you just have to learn how to execute a task. And once you have identified that, try to learn how to do that as efficiently as possible, because one part is going to help your blood pressure, because if you know when things are going wrong, why they go wrong, even if you don't like the task, you're going to be able to solve it quicker and with less frustration. And the second thing is that everything you do will be a lot smoother. In other words, it's less likely that you will be blocked, things will piss you off because you don't really get the results that you're looking for, etc., etc. I like to say, as always, I like to say, guys, competency is usually one of the best medicine towards everything that you might have which has to do with emotions. Anything from being angry or unfulfilled or what have you. If you're competent in the thing you're trying to achieve, usually everything is smoother, even if you don't like the thing you're doing. Have a great day.